So firstly, mayo.
Okay.
I just no. I hate mayo, man. Like the way it's funny. I hate mayo the way the Undercover Brother portrayed it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
That movie was funny.
You know, so
Jam.
yo, this is Ajani Jones, and you're watching a Jam interview.
Jam.
All right, so what's your story?
My story. So my story starts on the south side of Chicago. Was born and raised all throughout, from Auburn Gresham to over by St. Rita on 82nd, to Riverdale and Harvey out in the burbs out there. My mom moved us around a lot. She wants to be in the best spot possible. And I just grew up seeing a lot, as a black kid in Chicago does. My uncles were involved in gang violence. I was always around them. My mom took me away from them. They were around the same age as me. They were her little brothers. She took me away from them, kept me away for a while once we got in the teenage years, because they started wilding. And I was a smart kid. I was different than everybody else, and she knew it. So she kind of put me in a space where I could be myself and have fun and be a kid. I think as I got older, my uncles got wilder, and they all of them, not all of them, but it's 3 of them. One of them was killed. The next month, the other one was killed. And the other one got locked up a month after that. So that entire process put me in a space where I needed to get this out. Whatever I had inside of me, there was a lot of emotions built up. I grew up with them, and to see this happen to them was crazy to me. It's tragic, and it was traumatic, I think. So I think at that time I was in Iowa at college. I had got a scholarship, and I was there for 2.5 years. Going into the second semester of my junior year, my whole life changed when that happened, and I just didn't want to be in school anymore. And if I did, I was gonna do it for music only, because I had been doing music since I was 18, recording on Logic, GarageBand, and just trying to get my skills together. And throughout my first 2 years of college, rapping, I didn't do any shows, just really trying to get my craft together. I didn't want to release, I did release a trash mixtape when I was in high school, but I didn't want to release nothing else, unless it was, just really good. And so I transferred to Columbia College here in Chicago, and I think the first semester I didn't do nothing. I didn't meet nobody, didn't try. I was just rapping all the time, writing in my notebooks. But I wasn't trying because I was afraid, I was afraid of what people would perceive me as, or that was my whole life. I was always in a space where I was so alone and isolated. It got to a point where I was like, all right, here we go again. But it's like, you got a fresh start. Be you. My second semester, I moved downtown to the UC, which is the University Center of Columbia, and Roosevelt and all these other schools. They all come into one dorm. Moved down there, and I just instantly felt like I was at home, around musicians, people that were just like me in a lot of ways. And it kind of opened me up to the whole scene of Chicago. From that point, I was running around the city, always up north. I never was out south anymore, because the Southside scene, unfortunate to say, the Southside scene is not as groomed as the Northside scene. The Southside scene is, if you know this, if you're from Chicago and you know this, it used to be Adriana's. It used to be, spots like that. I mean, that's way south as well. It's in the suburbs, but it's not really been a scene. It was meant for drill rap. There was not a scene for people like me who spit lyrics with a message and cared about, a different type of sound. It wasn't a scene for us, so I had to come out here and do it. So I was spending the night at my current manager. I was spending the night at his house 4 days out of the week. We would just write, and draw my second mixtape, Wish Wisely, and it did absolutely nothing for me. But what it did, it really just helped me grow as an artist. And that's all I was wanting at that time. I was just like, you know, I'm ready to put myself out there because I had been comfortable being in the scene and I was excited to put something out. I had collected all my best songs from 3 years of writing raps, and I just put it out. And a lot of people to this day tell me that they still like the album because I took my time with it and I put so much into it. After that, I went into, you know, because I had branched out so much, I had met some really dope people in the scene. Banks the Genius, for example. It's my brother. He's my manager, producer, my friend. Pretty much a family member at this point. He's been in my mom's house, all that. We grinded, you know. I started working with him, paying for sessions, and I decided I wanted to make something different, something Chicago had never seen before. And it was like, they had seen Chance. They got that. You know, they got it was soulful, you know, the house, it was kind of house bounce, but not really. He had elements of it, but it wasn't that. It was more of a smooth summertime type of feel. I wanted to bring a summertime feel that was bouncy, that was electric. So I put out a mixtape called Eternal Bliss. And this was to this day, probably still my favorite project of mine. It was really about my summer, the summer of 2016. It was filled with a lot of love and a lot of laughter, some death, and it was the perfect accent to what I felt like I needed to put out at that time. But it's timeless to me, and so I put it out. It was basically it was inspired by house music, inspired by a little bit of EDM, because the triple, you know, those triple drums that you hear, those were becoming such a big thing in hip hop at the time. People were using more hi-hats, and I was like, okay, why don't we infuse that with a little bit of house with a little bit of EDM? And it became, to me, my best project, and I made it kind of a story, a nuance of Chicago in summer, and women, and weed, and loss. So that, and honestly, the tidbit of it was really just be happy. And it was for me. Like, I needed to be happy because I was going through a lot of shit. And that project got me to my deal with Closed Sessions. Now, to tell you kind of like what was happening in my life at the time, I was moving around the north side. I had left my mom's house, I think, a year after I dropped out of Columbia, which is what happened. I dropped out of Columbia. Not because I was failing, I just didn't have the money anymore. And I do plan to finish. I think I got like 13 semester hours left. But I left. Didn't see the value in it at the time because I needed a head start on my music career. And the time I took helped me get better at my craft, and it helped me get myself a deal with a label that I genuinely wanted to sign with. I told myself when I left Iowa, I was like, yo, that's a label in Chicago that is putting people on, they're helping people succeed, and I'm gonna sign with them. And I was like, I'm gonna give myself 2 years. I think I was a month off of when I said that, but 2 years and I think a month off of when I said that, I signed to them. And that showed me I could manifest anything. Like, when I did that, I was like, bruh, I was in Iowa 2 years ago, bruh. Like, I could do whatever I want. So that's when I learned the art of that, and that's when I became more spiritual and understanding that literally the law of attraction is very real. That's in all my music. So if whenever you're hearing something from me, the message is based around that because I preach it. It's something that's true, and it's true for everybody. The energy you keep around you is always prevalent. It will continue to be what you keep it to be. And the people you have around you, all of that, you know, your mindset, all of it affects everything in your life. I think that life is internal. The external part of it, you have to deal with, but you can keep it at arm's length. That's how I see it. And so just dealing with all those emotions, those thoughts, I was like, okay, I want to make something that shows the metamorphosis of life and evolution and what I feel is us. So I came up with kind of a 2-part project, Cocoons and Dragonfly. And Cocoons was more so to be like, look, I have shown the world who I am, as you know, a musician who can do all these things. Let me put them together and evolve as a human and an artist and show you what I came with. So Cocoons was me starting to do that, putting together a higher level of content and being able to say like, okay, like, don't trip about what's going on in life, just keep growing. The next project was like, okay, I'm here. Dragonfly, my album, my debut album, I was going through so much, so the project sounds different in every aspect. Like literally every song is probably different from the next because I was going through everything you can imagine. Breakups, getting evicted from apartments, fucking losing passion for music, you know, missing my family, gaining that passion back, and understanding what family meant to me was like the biggest thing. So that's why the first voice you hear on the album is me and my brother. And for those of you that don't know, my brother's name is Ajani. That's his name. And I asked him to use his name when he was of age to understand what I was doing. I use his name because it symbolizes what my family has gone through and what we've conquered, which is love. And I think that's something that a lot of families don't get a chance to conquer. They don't get a chance to even try because of whatever issues they have. We conquered that. And his name, this name, means he who conquers the struggle in Yoruba, which is Nigerian language. And I grew up in a Nigerian style of culture because my mom dated Nigerian. Those are my sister's dad is Nigerian. So grew up around him mostly. And the cultures and principles, it's all about courage and passion and hard work, grit. And we conquered that. And it meant so much to me that, and it's so dope rolling off the tongue that I was like, you know, I'm gonna ask him if I can use it. He said yes. And so that became my thing. I didn't get rid of my last name. Jones is my real last name. And I just didn't want to get rid of that. But basically every project I put out was an essence of my spirit, who I am and what I think, why I think that way. I think now I'm in a space where I'm getting better at conveying it. After putting out and writing so many trash verses, and you know, you get to a point where it's like it clicks for you and you know exactly what you want to do. So I'm at that point. I think that's my story.
That's amazing, man. So that's a lot of experiences, varied experiences, highs and lows in there that you just talked about. That was just amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Were you able to seek out professional help in terms of the tragedies that's happened with your uncles?
Never have. And that's something that I think I should do one day. I think that we all need to see therapists, every person. Because we all repress.
Right.
And suppress stuff deep down and we never address it. And it makes us resent people. It makes us hold ourselves back from love. Why would you do that? You know, get it out the way, say something, get it out of you and let it go.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest thing is I want to let stuff go. And I found that's something I'm working on still is just letting stuff go. And I think I will do therapy, but they be taxing. So
For sure. You were saying that you were working at a startup company, right?
Yeah.
Are you getting health insurance?
Yes.
Use that health insurance.
Yeah, that they do help you with that. It's like it breaks it down a lot more. You get like 40 an hour. It's usually like more than
right.
that.
Yeah. I use my my university's health insurance, so definitely.
You have a therapist?
Well, I was seeing one for like a few months, and then I felt like I was in a good enough space to not see him anymore. I didn't like really have anything super tragic that was going on. I just wanted to like just talk about stuff. I was living in a new place, and I was just like feeling alone and stuff like that. So I was like, I need to get some stuff out. So yeah.
That's essential.
It is. It definitely is. I saw a black therapist too, so kind of helps to relate. So try to see what's in your network and see what therapists are in your area and what's under your coverage for sure.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. You know, I just signed the papers too for it the other day, like getting all the copay and the dental and all that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. You still giving out fruit snacks at your shows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gave. So at my headliner at Shuba's a couple weeks ago, I gave out some. It had been a while since I've done it, but I'm back to doing it now. That's essential.
Yeah, that's a crowd pleaser for sure. For sure. What first gave you that idea?
I noticed that a lot of rappers threw out water. They threw water. If I'm at your show and I don't know who you are, don't throw water in my face. And I just thought about that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give some people actually can enjoy. And also, people throw out T-shirts and merch and stuff. I didn't have merch. It was cheaper to buy the merch, fruit snacks. And I was like, I love fruit snacks. So one day I was just like, yo, anybody want some fruit snacks? And the reaction was so crazy. I was like, yeah, nobody does this. I'm doing this.
Right.
So hopefully I can get that little sponsorship from somebody, Welch's or something.
Yeah, definitely. Are you the first to coin the term neo-soul hip-hop?
Bro, I might be, dog. Like, I don't think I've heard anybody use that.
Yeah.
Like, if you could say anybody that does it but didn't claim it, it's Chance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What about Outkast?
Yeah. Yeah, but see, they were also a part of the G-Funk Southern hip hop era, which that come with soul and the blues and all that. So they're a little different, but like neo soul felt it was a different feeling. It was like a DMV Midwest feeling. Like when you hear Floetry, when you hear Lauryn Hill, even Common, he was a neo soul hip hop artist. If we being honest here, albums like B, you know, stuff like that. Jay Dilla,
Find It Forever,
Find It Forever, classics.
Yeah,
you know, so Jay Dilla also they influenced that wave. Without you wouldn't have Erykah Badu without a Jay Dilla. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have an On and On. Or would you have a Jill Scott? You know what I'm saying? These things shaped a side of hip hop that they don't really talk about. Even shows that I see don't even talk about it about hip hop. They more so go about the space of rap and what it did, but the sound of it needs to be more accentuated because a lot of it came from soul. You wouldn't have the Drakes, you wouldn't have the Kid Cudis. It came from that. That's a part of it. You know?
What anime show are you currently watching, and what meaning are you extracting from it?
Okay, so I recently just caught back up with I was just watching it. Black Clover.
Black Clover. Okay.
Yes.
Where is that? Is that on Crunchyroll? Is that on?
Yeah, it's on Crunchyroll.
Okay.
So Black Clover is based in a world where people are where mana, which is magic, basically magical powers, reside in humans. Some low power, some high power, obviously. But if you're royalty, it's like a medieval type of show. If you're royalty, you have a lot of mana. You're powerful. If you are a peasant, low mana. Unless you are an orphan, then you might have the blood of royalty, something like that, you know. But we find out that there was another race of beings on this planet. They were elves. They held the highest mana. They were loved by mana, and they got killed off all these years ago. So the story is based on these two orphan boys who grow up together, and they find out they have these incredible, crazy powers, and from there they go to be a part of these squads, and the squads are basically to patrol the kingdom, protect people, be police, basically. And the show is absolutely nuts. If you have not seen it, you do want to see it.
Damn, that's dope.
Yeah, it's up there when I could say it's carbon copy, a little bit similar to Naruto.
Okay.
Because there's a Sasuke character, there's a Naruto character.
Yeah. So those archetypes. Yeah.
Yep.
Word. What specifically do you not like about Coleslaw?
So firstly, mayo.
Okay.
No. I hate mayo, man. Like the way it's funny. I hate mayo the way the Undercover Brother portrayed it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That movie was funny.
You know, so also I've had a couple times where I've had some coleslaw, and it's just been disgusting.
Yeah.
Also, I hate the fact that Harold's puts it in your chicken.
Okay.
Like they just throw it in there and force you to like. I'm like, I just like take it out, just, and then sometimes it gets on my chicken, and it's like I don't want to taste this sweet carrot like flavor on my hot chicken.
Right.
And so one day I was just like, you know what? Fuck coleslaw. And so every now and again when I get Harold's, I record myself throwing it in the trash. You know?
That's hilarious. All right, well, thank you for doing the interview.
Appreciate you.
Where can we find you online?
So you'll find me everywhere on at Ajani's Way, AJANISWAY. It'll be somewhere in this area. And Spotify, Ajani Jones, all that.
Cool. You got anything coming up that you like to share?
Yes, I'm dropping a single a month for the next couple months, and I have an EP coming this year. It's a surprise EP. Well, not surprise anymore, but it's coming. You don't know when.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for watching. Keep jamming.